Hello students, this is me, Saurabh Avasthi, English teacher at Mount Literacy School Jhansi. Today I have brought a new video for you, that is Silk Road, which is a chapter from class 11th, which is written by Nick Middleton. So let's begin with the introduction of the author of the chapter. Nick Middleton is an award-winning geographer, writer, TV presenter, environmental scientist and university lecturer. Nick is the author of 7 travel books, including the bestseller Going to Extremes, which accompanied a television series he wrote and presented for Channel 4 and the National Geographic Channel on extreme environments and the people who live in them. So, this was all about the author of the chapter, Nick Middleton. Now, we will start with the introduction of the chapter where the author have written about Silk Road, which is a detailed account of the author's visit to Mount Kailas. He visited the place to do the Kora. And here students, the Kora means parikrama, which means that is around the holy mountain with other pilgrims. Here students, the whole description about Silk Road is quite interesting as it reveals many unknown facts about a journey up the most difficult terrain in the world. That is all about Mount Kailas. So here now let's begin with the summary of the chapter. Here this article gives a record of an adventure from tenderly rolling hills of Rabu to Mount Kailas. The motivation behind this journey was religious. The storyteller wanted to finish the Kora at Mount Kailas. Lahamo gave him a long-sleeved sheepskin coat to keep him warmer. The narrator and Satan took a shortcut to get off the Chengteng. This route would take them southwest, almost directly towards Mount Kailas. And here students, you must know that Mount Kailas is known as the home of Lord Shiva. So here this shows that it is a pilgrim now. It involved crossing fairly high mountain passes. Satan said that there would be no issue if there was no snow. This alternate route took them crosswise over tremendous fields having parched fields. They saw a few gazelles and a great herd of wild asses. They noticed clouds of dust rising in the sky, and that was going to create a problem for them to reach from Rabu to Mount Kailas. So they were worried, but then also, as the hills arrived again, they passed shepherds tending their flocks. These men or women were well wrapped. They would pause and look at the vehicle. Sometimes they would wave as the vehicle passed by them. When the car was close to the sheep, the animals would try to avoid the speeding vehicle by dodging to one side track that the narrator and Satan passed the dark tents of the nomads in lonely places. There, these were the animals which they saw while traveling from Rabu to Kailas. A huge black dog, a Tibetan Mastiff, would stand to guard outside. These dogs raised their enormous heads erect and viewed the narrator's vehicle. As the vehicle came nearer, they would begin yapping and kept running towards the vehicle. The dogs were totally fearless of the vehicle. Satan had to apply the brake and turn aside. The dogs would quit barking simply in the wake of pursuing them off the property. Then they entered a valley. The snow-topped mountains were visible on the horizon. The river in this valley was wide and for the most part obstructed with ice. The track held near the river bank and one with the curved banks. So the condition was very critical as it was too cold over there. Gradually, they gained height and the valley sides closed in. They were climbing up the hill. The turns became sharper and the ride bumpier. Chetan drove in third gear. The narrator felt the pressure building up in his ears. He held his nose, snorted and cleaned them. Then they struggled round another tight bend. Chetan stopped. He opened his door and jumped. Daniel too left the vehicle because they were knowing that they are going to fall into trouble now, so they have to stop the car at any cost. So that's why they both just left the vehicle and tried to control the situation of that time. Now, he flung them across the icy top layer. The narrator and Daniel joined him and threw dirt. Then Chetan drove the car slowly and carefully on the icy surface, as it was very difficult to drive during that time. Daniel and the narrator stayed out of the vehicle to lighten Chetan's load. 10 minutes later, they stopped at another blockage. This time Chetan decided to try and drive around the snow. The slope was steep and full of big rocks. Somehow, Chetan got past over the difficult route. Once he cut a very sharp bend, they continued to climb in the bright sunshine. They crept past 5,400 meters. The narrator's head began to beat horribly. He took gulps from a water bottle. Finally, they reached the top of the pass, which was at 5,515 meters. That was a big height. The slope was steep and there was a large cairn of rocks. It was decorated with white silk scarabs and ragged prayer flags. They took a turn round the cairn in a clockwise direction. The lower atmospheric pressure was allowing the fuel to expand. It could be dangerous, so Chetan advised them not to smoke. As they moved down the other side of the pass, the narrator's headache soon cleared. It was at 2 o'clock. They stopped for lunch. They ate hot noodles inside a long canvas tent. The plateau was pockmarked with salt flats and brackish lakes. By late afternoon, they had reached the small town of Hor. They were back on the main east-west highway. It followed the old trade route from Lhasa to Kashmir. That was the center point of their trip. Daniel found a ride in a truck to return to Lhasa. Chetan got the punctured tires repaired. The narrator found Hor a grim, miserable place with no vegetation. They had tea in Hor's only cafe. They left Hor after half an hour. They drove past rocks and rubbish westwards towards Mount Kailash. So from there, Daniel he just took a truck and then he moved on to his place where he was going, that was
And
Lhasa.
there, the plateau is pockmarked with salt flats and brackish lakes, vestiges of the Tethys Ocean, which bordered Tibet before the great continental collision that lifted it skyward. This one was a hive of activity. Men with pickaxe and shovels trudging back and forth in their long sheepskin coats and salt encrusted boots. By late afternoon, they had reached the small town of Horbeck on the main east-west highway that followed the old trade route from Lhasa to Kashmir. Daniel, who was returning to Lhasa, found a ride in a truck, so Chetan and I bade him farewell outside a tire repair shop. Author had suffered 2 punctures in quick succession on the drive down from the Salt Lake, and Chetan was eager to have them fixed since they left them with no spares. So like this, Author and Chetan, they both continued their journey. Besides, the second tire he had changed was replaced by one that was as smooth as his bald head. Hor was a grim, miserable place. There was no vegetation whatsoever, just dust and rocks, liberally scattered with years of accumulated refuse, which was unfortunate, given that the town sat on the shore of Lake Mansarovar, Tibet's most venerated stretch of water. Ancient Hindu and Buddhist cosmology pinpoints Mansarovar as the source of 4 great Indian rivers. And the name of all the 4 rivers are the Indus, the Ganges, the Satluj, and the Brahmaputra. Actually, only the Satluj flows from the lake, but the headwaters of the others all rise nearby on the flanks of Mount Kailas. They were within striking distance of the great mountain, and Author was eager to forge ahead, but Author had to wait. Chetan told him to go and drink some tea in Hor's only cafe, which, like all the other buildings in town, was constructed from badly painted concrete and had 3 broken windows. So like this, students, this was the first part of this video where the author continued his journey towards Mount Kailas, and now the latter part we are going to continue in the next video, which will be the second part of this chapter, the Silk Road. So now let's continue with few of the question and answers of this part. The first question is, the article has been titled Silk Road, justify it. And the answer begins like this. The Silk Road refers to a network of overland routes linking Europe with Asia. This has been the trade route followed by the Europeans since ancient times, who had a passion for silk, horses, and exotic fauna of the East. Here, travelers along the route would buy and sell various items, including silk and spice from China. The author Nick Middleton, in his travelogue, follows the Silk Road to reach Mount Kailas to do the Kora, the pilgrimage. Now the second question, what do you know about the Tibetan Mastiffs? Tibetan Mastiffs, huge and ferocious dogs, were quite popular in China's imperial courts because they were good hunting dogs and also good guards. These Tibetan Mastiffs guarded the dark tents of the nomads pitched in isolation. These huge black dogs would raise their big heads when they became aware of people approaching and stared at them. As they drew closer, they would explode into action like bullets and rush towards them and chase them for about 100 meters. These hairy dogs usually wore bright red collars and barked angrily to the people with enormous jaws. Okay, so now the third question is, what was the purpose of the author's journey to Mount Kailash? The author went on a journey to Mount Kailash to do the Kora as is the tradition. The Kora signifies a rite of circumambulating the holy mountain, that is, taking a full circle around it. For this, the author adopted the Silk Route to reach Mount Kailash and faced heavy odds to reach there. So, like this. Now we are coming to the fourth question, that is, comment on Chetan's support to the author during the journey. So the answer is, Chetan was a good and efficient driver. He drove the car very carefully during the journey. He spoke to the author, giving information about the places they were visiting. He was caring. At Darchin, when he found that the author was not well, he took him to the medical college and got medicine for him. He was a good Buddhist. So here now we have completed the 4 questions also, which are related to the first part of the chapter, the Silk Road. So now we will meet again with the new video with the second part of the chapter, in which we are going to discuss that how the author reached to the Darchin and met with one more person, the one who accompanied him for the Kora. Okay, so stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Thank you so much.